Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for dropping in to another supply drop. Today, got the Sergeant's board game D-Day in. I got this because I've been curious in the Sergeant's game, kind of that system they have, and I've seen a couple unboxings, and I've seen like a couple playthroughs. I don't know, it interests me, and it's been a long time since I've actually have seen this, and I thought, it might as well just be time to pop in and get this. So I've been pretty excited. Waited on this, took about a week to get here. When I opened it, here, I thought this was cool. It was nice. They put a nice little thank you for the order sticker. That was very nice. And at the bottom of the box, they also included a really cool pin, which is out of the lighting, so it might be hard to see. But I was like, well, that's cool. I got a fancy little pin to use, which is good because I actually do lots of stuff with having to write things down. Okay, so here we've got the box. It says 5 pounds, maybe. I don't know, I didn't weigh it. I'll take their word for it. But here's your cover. It's nice. If I'm not zoomed in enough, we'll just quickly show that to you, and hopefully that's the image it shows for YouTube for making the thumbnail image. Yay, Sergeants. And here's the back right there, trying to keep it in the light for you. As the story unfolds, your decisions are what make the difference in this tense card-driven strategy game. Intuitive player aids keep things simple and let up to 4 players strive for victory. Now I have to admit that a couple concerns, which is why I put this off for so long. Yeah, the game can take up a lot of table space. The miniatures game, I'm told, takes up a lot of table space, just as far as the game tiles you need, then all the extra things that the players use to keep track of stuff. And that's one reason I went with the board game, is I wanted the smaller footprint. So all the tiles are the same size, and you can have it's just a smaller scale. So you still get like the same gameplay, it just fits better on a board. In fact, this is the game system they came out with after the miniatures game, and so I'm hoping that this is kind of like refining the system. Not that the miniature system would be bad at all, it just felt like this is the next step. So I wanted to start with this. Now, the other thing I've heard, and I don't know for sure, is that their support for the board game, isn't as much currently as the miniatures game. And I don't know if that's true or not. I don't want to make any assumptions. But they do have a lot of expansions for it. So, we'll see. One thing, though, that I thought was really cool about the miniatures game is they have the X terrain, these 3D pieces you can stick on your board. They don't have anything like that for the board game. So, who knows? I might pick up the miniatures game as well just to compare the two. Because the 3D terrain kind of intrigued me. And I'm used to having your combat values on the terrain, because having played like Heroes of Normandy, for example, it is kind of nice just to have everything you need on the board and not require a bunch of, separate player aids and things like that. Everything you need is on the board. Now, what this comes with, it's going to have 26 soldier playing pieces. Oh, that's another reason I picked this up. You get more soldiers. The miniatures game, you get pewter figures that are painted, which is cool. They come pre-painted. I know some people like to paint their own. But you only get like 10. You get like 5 Germans and 5 Americans. Here you get 26 soldiers, which are cardboard, and we'll take a look at that. But you get a lot more soldiers, so you could theoretically have bigger skirmishes. So I thought I'd go that route. Because what I've heard someone say is you could use on your counter, you could make like your own counter, just modify it a little bit, and instead of using the cardboard standee, you could use some 15, well, they recommend like 10 figures that are 10 millimeters, so we'll see how small these are. But I've got these really small, I still have some single ones. Oh, I broke his gun. Dang it. But I do have some Flames of War 15. Those are kind of small, so I could probably take those and put those on in place of the cardboard if I really, really want to get some miniatures. Okay, so anyway, You got your 26 soldiers, 256 coded soldier cards, and this is a completely card-driven game. So the soldiers have cards that represent like their ability to do moves and things. I know that some people don't like that card-driven aspect because they like a more free-flowing game where you make the decisions and the cards will actually say if you can move and shoot, and then they have the combat results. So it reminds me a lot, and this might be a little bold, but it kind of reminds me of Combat Commander in that respect, as far as the cards dictate everything. So I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I feel. Then you got 128 coded story cards, 48 map tiles with borders, 106 precision cut counters, 4 action mats, 4 soldier mats, 1 story mat, a scenario book containing 26 playable scenarios, and the rule book. So this comes with a lot. And from what I gather, there's been a price decrease. So I don't know if the core game is necessarily cheaper than it has been in the past. I think this was $60. So I mean, it's not, you know, super cheap, but compared to like a lot of board games, it's right on par for price, maybe a little bit lower. And I guess they also lowered on the miniatures game. So the prices being what they are, dropping on expansions and things, it might not be a bad time to get in. But again, it depends where you live and shipping and things like that. There's actually quite a bit more in here. Vacuum form tray, a brown tray topper, the map 1A, map 1B. There's a lot of stuff here, and then specifically like what the soldiers are that you get, which is another interesting thing because apparently every single soldier that they make will be unique, and since there's millions of names in the world, that shouldn't be too hard. How they track that and whatnot, I don't know. That's pretty cool. An idea. Okay, so what is this? I've got the Invasion of Normandy, and it has a bunch of stuff inside. So we have here draw pile, discard pile. From what I've seen, this is where you run your story, because there'll be certain cards that you play. Maybe, who knows, it could be a player aid thing here for the player card, but one of these. I was saying that because someone said like you lay out your story cards and then how certain things line up could trigger special events. So that might be that one. Okay, Sergeant's equipment. I need an extinguisher. Ammo belts can't. Ooh, lots of stuff. This equipment is issued to. Oh, okay. I was looking at one here. Note number 4. Camouflage suit. All right, great. Sergeant's equipment. Sergeant's ordnance. So I guess this is for purchasing things either for skirmishes or maybe some of the scenarios. You get a certain amount of points you can spend on things. Here's the scenario book, Chapter 1, The Invasion of Normandy. And I think this year, 2019, this is the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So that's another reason I wanted this. It's another D-Day game. So lots of D-Day stuff coming out this year. Nice. So, I mean, just like a typical scenario, here's your layout, here's your map, how to set it up. Just kind of move in for you. Whoa, yeah, there it is. Let you know situation report, the characters that you're involved. Well, that's characters. Sergeant Harrison, Private Fields, and then, yeah, see, here it is. Then the player forces. U.S. player gets 12 victory points of soldiers' equipment up to 2 liters, and that VP points is what you would spend. Well, I don't know if that actually means victory points, but VP points to spend. And it says right there you get your soldiers' equipment. So again, that's why the handy list is good, very detailed on equipment you can pick up. And it tells you what the German player gets. So you get a couple of assigned things and then a bunch that you can buy. Very cool. Players may purchase up to 3 additional grenades per 1 VP spent. Equipment cards up to 4 VP are allowed. Just a quick curiosity. Oh, here's one. A field telephone at 5 and a radio at 7. So you got things ranging from 0 points, but then there's some limitation rules. And then all the way up to 7 points is the most expensive item that I see. Oh, here's one. 7/10, a bazooka or a Panzerschreck. So for that first scenario, you wouldn't be able to buy that because 7 is definitely a lot more than 4. Alright, so 26 scenarios. Very nice, and the maps get a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Very simple setup. So looks good. 14 turns, 15 turns. Yeah, nice. That's a nice handy book. This must be the rules. Sergeants. Yeah. Yeah, this is a nice looking rule book. I like, well, okay, so the type of paper, it's not magazine type glossy, but it's a nice heavy paper. It's kind of got, it's got a coating on it. It's full color. Introduction. Looks nice. Nice font. I know, I've had people say, why do you mention things like that? It's kind of obvious. But, well, the thing is, the reason why I mention things like font, ease of reading, is because there are some games that I've gotten where they just seem more technical than they need to be, and the reading is dull and boring. And when you try and fit like 3 columns of information per page, then you have to use like a small font type, and it feels crammed. Then it becomes a chore to read. This is nice. You've got, looks like examples in blue, designer notes in red. That's great. Again, nice full color, little example side notes. So this is a really good book. It's not double or triple column. It's just a nice page, reading like a big book. So it's nice. Call out points for cards. So I think this will be a good read. Now, how clearly it explains the game is something else. So we'll have to read it first. But this is not an intimidating looking book. It does pack in at about, where we got here? Glossary starts on page 38. So approximately 37 pages of rules. The last, what looks like a full page of rules, is urban warfare. So at some point, some of these, well, tactics modules, teamwork cards, improvements markers, yeah. So advanced rule, I was going to say, it looks like some of this might split off to advanced or optional rules. So possibly the basic rules start right around page, or end right around page 25. Gameplay example looks like, using the action cards, gameplay. Yeah, I think that's fine. 25 pages of a really well written rule book, and then some advanced rules that take up about another 10 pages or so. Not unreasonable. So this is going to be a real pleasure to read. Very excited. And here's everything, and it all fits nice. Now, this is something that on one of the reviews I watched, this happened to him too. The packaging that held these tiles in place blew open. Same thing happened to me. I mean, it's no big deal. It was just, hey, guess what happened to me? I had my tile thing blow open too. But these are really nice. Now, I had to admit, I think this is the first game where I've had it where the pieces have been laser cut, and so the other reviewer I watched, I guess I was trying to think of his name, Once Upon a Game, Kevin Kitchens. I really like that guy. He did a review too, and that was something he mentioned was when you get these laser cut pieces, they get soot on the edges, and I can see it appears that there might be just a little bit, but I would have to really fondle a lot of these pieces lovingly if I was going to get a whole bunch of soot on my fingers. So, if that's a concern, might be something to be aware of, but I really don't think it's going to be that bad. So the tiles are about 2 inches, I'm guessing 2 by 2 inches, and they're interlocking, and they're double-sided, and they're really nice. Like, this is a really good cardboard. Part of me wants to just really bend this thing to see how far I can bend it before it bends, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, this is great. Once I figure out, these must be edge pieces here. This must be a corner piece because the actual interlocking is on these two. So that might be like a corner piece up in a corner somewhere. Or no, I just had to be smarter than the tiles to fit them together. That's all. I like that. This was another reason I thought this would be good to play as a board game, because if you create your own scenarios, how cool is it that you have, I mean, once you figure out how things go, okay, so putting these together is going to be a little trickier than I thought, but if you're patient with it and you figure it out, How cool is that? I think that's a very cool. Okay, so clearly these aren't universally squared how they connect. So you are going to have some limitations in how pieces go. So it's just a matter of playing around with it if you're making your own scenarios. But there's a lot of these things, and these are really nice. The artwork on them is fantastic. The coating, they just feel very durable. Like these were designed to play. Only thing is, I've got a couple here that are sticking, and as I pull them apart, it feels like it is tearing some of that lamination. So yeah, kind of a bummer, but it's barely noticeable. Otherwise, really fantastic. And there's your combat data on the cards, which I'm out of the light, so it's probably hard to see. So I apologize. Light, not so light, but you can see it. 26B is the tile. Look is -1, hide -1, shoot -1. So there you go. Your combat stats are there on the tiles. Very nice. Then we have here some more of your play aid accessories, which I will open right now. Wow. Just throw all the plastic here next to me. Oh, okay, I gotta be careful with this. What is this? I think these are brown. I wonder if these are part of the edges. Yeah, I think here we've got a bunch of edges, so once you have the inner tiles put, you can stick these all around the outside borders, I should say. Then one pop-out turn marker. I don't want these other ones to go flying out as I pop this one out. So yeah, it comes out. They're laser. Yeah, it looks like they're laser cut, and they're just held in by like maybe one little nub. They're not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, I'm getting some of that smut on my fingers as I play with these. So I kind of knew that would happen, but I didn't know what that meant until I'm actually playing with these. And yes, I'm feeling and understanding what it means to have soot on the edges of some of this stuff. So be aware of that if that's something of a concern. I guess what you could do, what I've had people recommend, is just get yourself like a baby wipe or something, and you can just wipe down the edges of pieces. Area Z. Now I've seen this from map layouts, but there's like entry points, things of that nature. And some of these are just ready to pop out. This one popped out in a bad way. Let's see, can I get it back in? There you go. Area A, area B, area Z. So you can mark entry points, exit points, things like that. Okay, soldier cards. There we go. So the outside of your play area is going to have a bunch of boards and other accessories. So my soldier card folds out. So as you play, your different soldiers will have their stacks of cards. It said we can play up to 4 people, so I should have at least 4 of these. 3, 4. Yep. So I guess each player is going to have one of these mats in front of them. And then we have here your phases, actions. So I think they kind of go together like this. So would that have been better as one board? Who knows? I'll have to play. Before I can comment on what I think of the pieces, I have to learn the game, and then we can share comments on that. So I don't know anything really about the game beyond just some things I've heard. So if you're looking for a detailed component overview, I won't have that for you yet until after I read the rules, play some games, and let you know what I think of the components and how they all work together. So this again is just more of the unboxing, the shrink wrap. You can look at the components for the first time with me. Then we have here victory point markers. This says sergeants on one side, initiative order on another side. Here we've got some grenades. Actually, there's stick grenades. I know if I move it up here, it's hard to see because the lighting is terrible up here. But I got stick grenades on one side, and then regular pineapple grenades on the other, and then it's got pin. So I guess dual purpose. So if I shoot at people, pin people, or throw grenades at them. Move markers, explosives. One hit check each phase. And then we've got a bunch of things. I didn't plan this out because I didn't know what all exactly comes in here. Now, some of these are characters. In fact, I think all of these are characters. All of these are soldiers, I should say, except this one. What is this one? This one is map case, so some equipment cards, which we'll look at here in a second. So here's a soldier, SSD GLI assault section. All right, so we'll open one up here in just a second and take a look at it. Maybe there's 2 soldiers in here, but it looks like there's a bunch of soldiers. So what I'm told is every single soldier is unique. No 2 soldiers like share a similar name. Maybe they might share a name, but all like the stats will be different. That is, I think, truly a remarkable undertaking for them to track that and actually work with the printer, publisher, whoever to make that happen for all the cards. So all the cards fit the people. That's pretty impressive. That's a lot of effort put into that. And so here we've got soldiers galore, and I think all of these here are soldiers. Maybe one guy in here. Some of these have 2 soldiers, I'm going to assume. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, I'm going to open up one guy. Who is this? I'm opening up, this is Carter. It says PFC. It's got 1 rocker bar, but Private Carter, we're going to open him up. This is assembled by Alex. There's actually little stickers on some of these that say who assembled it. This was assembled by Robin. So Robin, thank you. Alex, thank you. So let's open this up. I'm going to rip Alex open. Okay, so here comes Private Carter. Ooh, interesting. So already a player comes with several pieces here. It's got like his ID tag, dog tag with some information, and his little soldier. Yeah, I can see why they said use a 10mm. The little standee is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. I didn't know what to expect, but I could see where the 15 might be a little bit bigger. But what you can do is, if I have Carter here, for example, when you create one of these guys, you actually take several of these, and it kind of builds up a base, and then you stick your standee on there, which I don't know if you can see in the dark. Try and give you some natural lighting on it, but it makes, a standy little 3D kind of figure. So what I might do with the 15s is, when I find the ones I want to use, is just take one of the bases. Like this has the name and his dog tag number on the edge, and I just put one of my 15mm figures on there, and boom, I've got miniatures in my game. So there's him. Here's his cards. Got Private First Class Carter, has some things he can do, look, hide, shoot, move. So this is probably his informational card. One side is where he's not wounded, the other side is where he's wounded, and that will affect what he can do. So normally he can look for 9 squares, but when he's wounded, he can look for 7. And then here will be his character card here. So as you do things, you draw, and then that limits what he can do. Oh, here he is, his sergeant stats, so he can get promoted. Corporal. Oh, that's cool. And again, I think that's very cool because apparently there will not be another Carter in the game. I think is how that works. And so for them to make this Carter with just this stats and then be unique from all the other U.S. soldiers that you find. Now there might be, without having researched this 100,000%, and maybe someone knows better than me, it's possible there are some soldiers that are core, and then you have a bunch that are random, or they're all random. I don't know. I just think that's huge, depending on how many copies of the game they have to make and how many soldiers they have to design and make names and stats for. I think that's awesome. And then you have your soldier deck, and then as they go and do things, you like draw a card, and you can tell, okay, he can shoot, or you'll draw, because it'll have his accuracy built in to the card, so it'll say if he hit. So it's no dice. If I haven't mentioned that, it's all card driven. All card driven. Alright, so there are bunches of soldiers right here. Here's some of the equipment. This was put together by Robin. Robin, thank you for sticking this together for me. And here we've got a map case, your dynamite bundle. I'm trying to make this so you can possibly see it. I don't know how it's coming out here, but we've got a map case, dynamite. You've got what does that say on there? The field telephone, cluster grenade, another map case, a satchel charge, the field telephone, common grenade, detonator, rifle grenades, several rifle grenades, TNT, your Panzerfaust, 3 of those. There might be some more equipment here without disassembling everything. That's all soldiers. Here you've got your nice turn counter tracker marker, which I already popped out the turn token, so I'll just stick that there. Good. Baggies, another soldier. I got soldiers everywhere. Here's the assembly instructions. Very cool. I've got 2 of those in case I lose one. Doesn't seem too complicated, but again, I think we're going to modify, and I'm not going to glue the soldiers to the base. I'm probably just going to use like a little blue tack, so if I need to, I can take the figure off and then assemble them if I want to use just the standees. Okay, there's the plastic bags. We just set those there. Alright, and then more of the map tiles. This also blew out, so a little disappointing there. That also kind of blew apart. But again, more of these wonderful, wonderful tiles. These things are just gorgeous looking. I think they're fantastic. So more of those. And then more cards. So there's cards here that are just for the soldiers, specific to each soldier, and then we have here more cards to support the game. Okay, so I had a little pack of equipment over here, and then I have here more equipment. So this is equipment, and these are probably including some of the story cards, survival, survival soldier, surviving, count half EP. Okay, so various cards of different things, objective markers, shoot, then move, more order cards. Now the artwork, I know some people, when you read like forums and online, they don't like the artwork because it seems kind of a comic book artwork, and then some of the text looks like it's in that Comic Sans. So I know for some people that's a detraction. Like they want their war game to be a little more simulationist, a little more serious, and this kind of makes it feel like a comic book or not so serious. But I like it. I really don't have a preference for or against it. I think it's a style they picked, and I like it, actually. I think it works good. If I need more simulationist, I have games that aren't using comic pictures and Comic Sans. But to me, it's eye-catching. I think it's thematic. It looks good. So here's a deck of cards. This is 64 story cards. I guess if I looked at the box, it would tell me what it had. And then we have one more. I didn't see the more 64 cards. So we got like shoot, more shoot cards, move, shoot. Now the way the story cards work is as you lay it out here, there was a board where you could put those cards out for like phases of play. And you'll see down at the bottom of the cards, they're kind of color coded. And as you lay them out, there's going to be like 3 cards that you lay out. And so from this distance, you might not tell very well, but you can see if the color codes match up, which none of those do. But if I had, say, for example, that's not a very good blue, purple. So let's say I had a purple landmark, and the card next to it was a matching landmark, then this event would take place. Marsh, L2B, if that was there, 2 soldiers in near middle of the marsh fall in deep water and are pinned. Oh no! Okay. So I think that's pretty cool. So this will give you a lot of randomness. I'm actually looking forward to this. I didn't know... I mean, I kind of knew what to expect because I've seen some unboxing, like I said, watched a playthrough, and I just really thought, you know what, I think I want to give this a try for myself. And Origins is coming up. Last year, Origins, Lost Battalion Games was there, and I didn't spend too much time at their booth. They were really, really pushing. They had like a new space empire building game, and then they had Rally Round the Flag they were talking about. I don't think Rally Round the Flag was available for purchase. I don't remember. It may have been. I don't remember. But I didn't see a lot of Sergeant stuff there, and I could have been. Like I said, I was a little bit busy. I didn't get a chance to really hang out at the booth. So what I'm hoping, though, is this year I wanted to learn the game a little bit, and then when I go to Origins, which is coming up in like less than a month, I'm hoping I can go back, if they're there this time, and snag some stuff at con discounted prices and really flesh this out a little bit more. So I'm pretty excited about this. So this is just the base game, and it comes with a lot of stuff. And from what I'm told, this is going to create a lot of play. Because even if you play the same scenario, the way the cards and everything play out, it gives you a different experience every time. And I think one thing that intrigues me about this a little bit is it almost feels like it's a narrative driven with the way that the events can lay out, the way the cards play. Is instead of giving you like full command over your troops, you're going to have some command over them, like, you know, where they can move and things like that. But I feel like this is going to give you kind of a story behind the action. So I'm pretty excited to see that all play out. And I got to figure out how to store everything in here now. And I can even look here in the little storage tray, which is very cool. Oh yeah, here's a separate brown cover that they were talking about here for that tray. Oh, I got tore a little bit. But there's soot inside there. So yeah, soot. Eventually my hands will absorb all the soot and the playing pieces will be fine. But yeah, this is great. I'm pretty excited to check this out. If you guys are curious about it and want to see, I'll probably play a game regardless at some point solo to see how it plays, and if I can get my son to play, we'll do a 2-player. So I'm pretty excited about this. What was I thinking? Card driven. Well, we did Heroes of Normandy. They got their tactical card game. We did a gameplay for that. I'm not sure how people really felt about that, if they want to see more of that one. This is another card driven game, which I'm hoping people want to see this. And then there was another game coming out that I was interested in. Oh, I know. Yeah, I got this. So this is like squad level type of engagements. I also picked up the rule set Ultra Combat Normandy, which is truly a miniatures game. And it's got a couple cards, but it's more of the free-flowing kind of miniatures game you're used to seeing, not where the cards dictate what you do, but the card will say like who can activate and has like the stats of the soldiers on it. So it goes down to like a squad level as well, but it's more of a traditional miniatures game versus this, which is more on the board game side, but has that war game feel. So I really wanted to compare the two games and see how they go against one another. But anyway, that's all stuff for down the road, because it's going to take some time to absorb this and get in some gameplay for Ultra Combat Normandy. With Ultra Combat Normandy, we'll be using 28mm figures, but because the game can scale up to where you're playing like platoons, I could still use Flames of War small bases to represent squads, but if I just do where it's like 10 men against 10 men, I'll probably use 28mm miniatures. Anyway, those are some things going on. Here's the supply drop for Sergeants, the board game, the D-Day board game. Go ahead and leave your comments down below. Well, I'll go ahead and turn this off. And thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you around on the next video.